School heads want extra money for pupils. That's the top story. KEPSA, which is the Kenya Primary School Heads Association, said that the 1,420 shillings capitation per child will not maintain a student in school. They're seeking for 8,077 shillings because this is the only way that they can make it happen. The head teachers argue that it is ideal to effectively fund primary schools. The school heads are converging in Mombasa for their annual conference, which also doubles as a celebration of their 20 years of existence. Johnson Zioka, who is the chairperson, talked about the fact that, yes, introducing capitation ever since it was in primary schools is a fantastic thing, but it is not possible to fund a pupil with 1,500 shillings for a term. It doesn't make sense. So they said
it can work.
I mean,
it can work.
Thank you. It's a good gesture. However, let's be serious a little bit. Now, the story that we're looking at now is that the state has admitted that there is going to be, it's brewing now, that there will be a Form 1 crisis next year due to big numbers.
It is anyway, go on.
Breathe.
Go on.
The government has admitted it is staring at a crisis next year for Form 1 admission of candidates of the just-ended KCPE examination. Shall I say that again?
Go on.
Basic Education PS Belio Kipsang said infrastructure in schools is below the target to accommodate the big number expected. PS said that this year's KCPE candidature is 280,000 students more compared to last year. The details emerged when ministry officials appeared before the National Assembly Education Committee Monday to discuss supplementary budget. Kipsang said there is a reduction of 3.34 billion shillings under the Junior Secondary School Improvement Program, another 1 billion under Secondary School Infrastructure Improvement Program, and 138 million under Primary School Infrastructure Improvement Program that will affect the sector. So that they're saying there's going to be a reduction in this money that would normally go. Number one. Number two, he said, although the government is planning to improve the learning environment in schools through construction and improved infrastructure to increase enrollment, the Exchequer has reduced allocations. So they would have liked to make sure that the required infrastructure actually exists. But their hands are what?
You know, the one thing, and I watched part of what Dr. Bello Kipsang was telling the Education Committee of Parliament. The one thing the Ministry of Education is not able to explain is where the 200,000 extra students came from. They're saying, number one, it is not the grade 7s.
No.
Because we can still see those who we registered last year into junior secondary are still in junior secondary. So it's not grade 7s that have now suddenly appear to register for KCPE. So where did the 200,000... do we have immigration?
You did not have a second class, for example. Because the children who just completed KCPE were in class 7 in 2022.
Yes.
There was no other class that was introduced into class 8.
Yeah.
The people who finished class 8 just now are the same ones who were in class 7 in 2022. So this extra fifth of the total number, true, where did they come from?
How can you have an extra 200,000 unexplained?
280,000.
That's a very high number.
It's a third of the total amount.
That's a very, very high number.
It's been explained.
Okay, what's the explanation?
Capitation.
What about capitation?
If you have 200,000 new students, it means you have to pay capitation for this extra 200,000.
But you have to explain where the 200,000 have come from.
Or whoever they are.
The hope is that what we are asking will not be asked, and that we will simply take the view that there are 200,000 new students.
I understand what you're saying without saying it.
And there'll be explanations that these 200,000 were there, they left school, they came back. It will not add up. It will be explained, but it will not add up. These 200,000 have come from thin air.
These are ghost students.
They are ghost students. Just like they are ghost schools, they are ghost students who now will go to ghost schools, or they'll be spread around existing schools, and there'll be the indication that capitation has been paid. But the idea is you start with the number 200,000 plus. It equals X in capitation. There we are. Perhaps that amount of money we kept asking about, where
The
did it
54
go?
million over years.
Yeah, we kept asking, where did this money go? Perhaps we may be at the beginning of understanding where that money actually went.
This is absolute nonsense.
It is.
Heist.
Just like it was nonsense
You
when we
cannot have an extra 280,000 is more than the students who are going to.
take your pick. Yes, it is
To qualify for university
It
entry.
is a quarter of
the total number.
Yes,
It's a
yes,
quarter of the
yes.
total number of students who did KCPE this year.
Yes. So,
So what are you talking about?
are we saying that it was
Where
a
could they have come from?
No, let me ask
Are
you.
we
If
saying
he's
that over the years, there was, let's say last year, we expected to have 1,100,000 students to sit KCPE, but only 1,000,000 sat. So there was 100 kids who were supposed to have sat KCPE.
they didn't sit because they didn't register something.
because they didn't register, so they
Yeah.
didn't sit. And now they've heard that this is the final KCPE, and they're like, oh my God, I'm not
Let's
going to
do
have the
it before-
paper.
yeah.
So let me come in. But even then, with NEMIS, you'd be able to capture. You'd be able to tell that this is a student who was in Standard 7 2 years ago and not last year.
But you know, Eric, what you said is true because we're still playing with the same numbers here.
Yes.
Even those who are writing KCSE right now, they were in
Standard.
Form 3. They
Yes.
were in Form 3 last year. So all the students currently in the country were in school. There was no influx from Uganda
they've
of
been in school
300,000.
for that duration of time.
For you to sit
Yes.
KCPE.
Yes.
You don't appear in class
From
4.
nowhere. You've been in school.
Yes.
So what are we talking about
and
now?
We have
That-
a record of these students.
Come on. Now you're saying there will be a crisis. Where did they come from? Or are you trying to tell us that they've just been at home? Then now they
Even if
realize
they were at home, then come up with that explanation and say, all right, so from this, what we've done, we've dug out and found out that 100,000 of these were at home in Standard 7 and they did not sit their KCPE. 150,000 of these sat their KCPE last year, but they did
didn't go
not
to
transition
school.
to Form 1. So our 100% transition policy has been failing.
So now
and
it is
now
going to work.
It's exposing us.
say it.
There are very many questions. You cannot just say 280,000 extra children will need spaces in Form 1 next year.
But
What
it's
do you mean?
exposing in nature because what it has done is that I also showed you that previously you would just come and say things and it would
Actually,
be accepted and then we move.
What I begin to wonder is whether these numbers we've been given for the longest time about the number of students we have in primary school
is actually the case.
Yes.
Exactly.
You
have to think.
May I have to question because
Yeah.
if 280,000 students can appear from thin air, what makes you so sure that we had 1,000,000 students in school?
Because that's the number. Every year it's a 1,000,000.
And
it's a
we've
1,000,000
accepted.
KCPE. It's 830,000
We've accepted.
KCSE, like that.
And then tertiary and whatever, you take around 50% of that number. This is what we've been told. And remember, all these numbers represent money.
Yeah.
All of them.
They do.
Right up to university, it represents money. So,
And
Dr.
then even-
Bello Kipsang was unable to explain coherently when he was asked in Parliament. In fact, I saw one MP asking, is this students who were supposed to have transitioned to Form 1 and they didn't and they're coming back? Is it students who were supposed to have sat KCPE and they didn't sit KCPE, so now they heard this is the final KCPE, they are coming to register? And Dr. Kipsang was like, it's the final exam.
So,
But then he must be answerable.
But-
because there's a policy on transition, 100% transition. He should have had that, captured that number and said, these children sat KCPE, they did not transition to Form 1. This is what we've done with them.
and now they're coming back because of 1, 2, 3.
on this matter, the apologist is Dr. Kipsang. It is him. He is the peer. It is him. Dr. Kipsang, it is you. It is him who actually ought to be telling us. These questions we're asking, if there were queries, it is him who ought to have raised them and had a response and said, let me explain. There's this number we are talking about. The reason why this number is there, and then he explains.
Yes.
You're right, and he should know because, mind you, he's the only PS in the Ministry of Education that has carried from the previous
government.
administration. Yes, so
it
he's
is
well
him.
aware of what was going on, and here we are today. But look at the things that have been happening systematically over the last 6 years. We were told, ghost schools, because we looked inside the NEMIS system and we found
We
that
came
some
across
schools
them all right.
Came across them. That's how that story
That's
died.
how it died.
Died. Nobody talked about it for years.
Have you heard of
People have
anybody
been
being held
releasing-
culpable?
Where?
Zero.
Nobody has
Say
even
it
asked
went.
that question. This one, if schools, entire institutions can be crafted, created, and then money is sent, how much more students, individuals,
That's
one.
That's easier.
Very easy.
And then you spread them across all these many institutions we have in the country.
You put them in the fake schools.
And fake school is a good place to put them.
Yeah.
Because there you can put them in large numbers.
My goodness. And
Yes.
there's no answer, there's no question, there's nothing. And that's why you see why you're wondering why he couldn't answer coherently is because it has never been put, and I put it to you to tell us exactly what this is about. No proper explanation has ever been given, and neither is it demanded. This collapse or crisis that he's talking about it is not going to start in 2024. I've been saying there has been a crisis in the sector for years. The attention that has been given to it is the issue here.